have you contemplated recently integrating Rob into the DCU? And he said, they've talked about it because you talk about everything.
Sure, yeah.
What's your attitude about that at this point?
I mean, you know, it really comes down to...
Okay, I'll bite. Hey everyone, this is Digital Charcuterie. Thanks so much for stopping by. If you're new to the channel and looking forward to the Batman Part 2, hit that subscribe button, talk about it all the time. Also, if you're looking forward to the DCU and all to come, including Superman, Creature Commandos, and more, hit that subscribe button, talk about that stuff all the time on this channel. As well as anyone that's been here knows I'm looking forward to the Batman 2 and Batman in the DCU. And I've done a few videos on this, and I wasn't planning on doing another video on this because I felt like it was tiring. But of course, the Golden Globes happened this past Sunday. Colin Farrell winning Best Actor for a Limited Series, or whatever it was. He won an award for that, for Penguin, and that was cool and everything. But of course, Matt Reeves was there, and Lorna Frank was there because the Penguin show was also nominated as well. And everybody had to ask Matt Reeves about the Batman Part 2. But Josh Horowitz from MTV decided that he would one-up everybody, as he commonly does. And he said, you know what? I spoke to James Gunn just a little while ago. And that little while ago was was before Creature Commandos debuted. And this is what he had to ask James Gunn.
Have you contemplated, have you had the conversation, have you reconsidered integrating Pattinson's Batman into your DCU?
James Gunn, of course, had an answer that wasn't a strict no. He said,
I've contemplated it. Yeah, we've contemplated it. Gotta contemplate everything, John.
So I did a video on that, and I found it very fascinating. I said, okay, well, he hasn't denied anything. And then reports were coming out from insider Jeff Snyder, Vuranen, and Big Screen Leaks also, all saying that they had heard rumblings behind the scenes that Warner Brothers wanted Pattinson in the DCU. I did a video on that. I got a lot of hate on that for doing it because apparently I'm the one who's originating all this stuff. I am just relaying the message here. But this is what they were all hearing. And I said in the video, I said, where there's smoke, there's fire. Like at some point you have to look at it and say, maybe there's some truth to these rumors. Maybe it's more than just James Gunn saying, hey, you know, I kind of want Pattinson in the DCU. Maybe David Zaslav at Warner Brothers is saying, I don't want multiple Batman running around, figure out how to get Pattinson in there. But now at the Golden Globes, Josh Horowitz asked Matt Reeves about this, and he goes, look, like I said earlier, he's like, I talked to James Gunn about it, and James Gunn kind of said, you know, you guys, of course, talked about it. And Matt Reeves, to his credit, blew my mind with his answer, where he said this.
It really comes down to whether or not it makes sense. And, you know, I think what's been great is there was really a kind of a story that I wanted to tell. You know, we're calling the epic crime saga and all of that, which is the thrust of what we wanted to do. And it's been important to me to be able to play that out. And, you know, James and Peter have been really, really great about that, and they're letting us do that. And, you know, what the future brings, I can't really tell you. I have no idea right now, except that my head is down now about getting the Batman Part 2 shooting and to make it something really, really special, which of course is the most important thing.
So he doesn't even say no. He says, I want to focus on my Batman arc, my story. And what Jeff Snyder's been saying on the Hot Mic podcast all this time is that James Gunn wants Pattinson. Pattinson wants to be in the DCU, but Matt Reeves is the one that's kind of holding it back. And what Matt Reeves is saying here is kind of, in my interpretation of it, confirming what Snyder's been saying on my podcast. And that it sounds like he is kind of the one that's like, I don't know about this. I have a story I want to tell, and I don't want that story to be interfered with by the DCU, which makes complete sense. If he has like 1, 2, 3 movies he wants to make, and he was hired to make them, promised to make them and all that, he'd want to see that through without the interference from the outside noise coming in and disrupting that in any capacity. So that makes complete sense. But then, of course, he says,
you know, what the future brings, I can't really tell you. I have no idea right now, except that my head is down now.
You know, you don't know what the future is going to bring. So that could be at the conclusion of his 3 movies, Pattinson is brought into the DCU. Now, how long away that is, if James Gunn wants to wait that long, if Pattinson still wants to play Batman beyond that, of course, will remain to be seen, because we're not getting the second one until 2027, unless, of course, they find a way to do 2 and 3 somewhat back-to-back. But I just feel like that's not how Reeves and co. are operating, and they're not going to start to operate like that way now. So I don't know where they're going to sit, or if they could find a way to bring Pattinson in and make his Batman somewhat separate from the Reeves versus Batman, but still the same. You know what I mean? Like they bring him in, they ignore the events of the trilogy of films, and the trilogy of films ignore the events of the DCU, which I think is actually kind of possible, to be honest. I think you can easily do that. I know one of the videos I did, people brought up Daredevil. I think that's a good point. You can have these characters, these ultra realistic characters, appear in these fantastical films as well if you want. Now, of course, the question is this the Batman that people want in the DCU? I don't know. But is it less confusing to have the same Batman in one through line than it is to mix it up and have multiple Batman running around all the time? I don't even know the answer to that. Like, for me, I would think one Batman would make the most sense. But is this the Bruce Wayne Batman that you want in that world? Does he collaborate the most in that world? And now, obviously, we got our first glimpse of Batman in the DCU. Looks kind of like Alan Richardson in the silhouette, but again, it's just a silhouette. They didn't want to commit to a suit. So there's a lot at play and to discuss with what they're doing here. But it sounds like, look, the other thing I got to say, too, because it sounds like, the Pattinson thing, there's traction there, traction with Pattinson going to the DCU. But I think it's like, it's not a combo. It's kind of like an aftermath going on in some capacity. I think it's less like they would treat it, because I love Man of Steel, but I don't think Man of Steel was the right movie to start a cinematic universe. And I love the Batman, but I also don't think that's the right movie to start a cinematic universe necessarily too. But they're also kind of doing this with Blue Beetle, but the Blue Beetle movie is not really part of the DCU, but the Blue Beetle actor and like that world kind of is part of the DCU. So maybe you kind of do that with Pattinson and Batman, as he treated the same as you did Blue Beetle, because if they can figure that out, they can figure the Batman out. But I think the key right now is Matt Reeves wants to focus and finish this trilogy before he worries about Batman entering a larger scale environment, so to speak. But the one thing that I really got to point out is, like, Jeff Snyder said this on the Hot Mike podcast. He said other things, and James Gunn has shut him right down. Not everything he says, obviously, but there have been instances when James Gunn is like, no, that's not right. No, that's wrong. And not just Snyder. I'm not just picking on him. Like, I'm not picking on him, but but other insiders as well. And James Gunn is really quick to shoot misinformation down. But this is something, as of this recording, this is something he has not touched on, other than when Horowitz asked him, and he said, we talked about it, and he still was kind of wishy-washy in his answer there. So I think there's some traction to this. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I kind of agree with what Vera Annan said, where he's like, he believes that's what's going to happen, but he's not sure if it's still like, he wouldn't be surprised either way. I kind of feel like that right now, where I think there's traction to this. They're trying to figure out how to make this work. And if they can't figure out how to make it work, then they have their plan B. And I think that's part of the process of The Brave and the Bold right now also, is they're trying to figure that movie out based on who Batman is going to be in The Brave and the Bold. Is it going to be Pattinson? Is it going to be Reeves? And also, look, if it's going to be Pattinson, if the Matt Reeves stuff is Elseworlds, and the Pattinson stuff, and Pattinson's brought into the DCU, are they two separate Batman at the same time? And is that even more confusing? Do you just change the suit and change the world around him a little bit? I don't know. There's a lot of confusion surrounding Batman in the DCU as of right now. We're not getting any answers, which tells me that they're working vigorously behind the scenes on all of this, and I'm sure they would say that they're not. But Batman is such a crucial part of their gallery of characters. They're starting with Superman, we're getting Supergirl, Clayface, but how far? Like, Clayface isn't top tier. Swamp Thing might be coming as not a top tier. So, when do we get to Batman? Batman is a top tier character. Do you wait until the Batman 2, or do you have two Batman movies simultaneously living side by side? But right now, it looks like all signs are coming, all roads are leading to Pattinson entering the DCU. Whether that works or not, I don't know. And again, like, if they can't figure it out, it's not going to happen. But right now, I really think that that's where DC Studios is headed. That's their mind is probably set on. Let's figure out how to get Pattinson in here without disrupting Matt Reeves' trilogy of movies as well. And once they figure that out, we will have our Batman in the DCU. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Is Pattinson actually going to enter the DCU? Or because what is going on here? Because no one has said no. No one has said no. No one said yes, but no one said no. And I would argue that they've been a little bit leaning towards, yeah, it's possible, than not possible at this time. Now, again, a year ago, December 2023, James Gunn said that they were completely separate, but a lot can happen in a year. Like, his slate of movies that was announced is kind of out the window. We're getting some new stuff. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. I really appreciate it. Give it a like and a subscribe. And until next time, may be the master of your own universe.